What's up, guys? We are back for Brutal Friday. This is edition number 10, so we're in double digits now. I thought we'd do something special because we're in double digits and we've been working hard and some of you guys have been throwing down these workouts. Thought we'd do something kind of cool for this video. I'm gonna have my coach, Matt Torres from Brute Strength, give commentary. I sent him over a few questions to answer on this workout. He's gonna talk through the workout as I'm going, talk you through strategy, kind of the whole shabam of what I've been doing the past few weeks if you have watched. And it's gonna be him this time. He's a little bit wiser when it comes to breakdown and commentary and all things coaching. So I'll leave it up to him to let him do that for you. For today's workout, we're gonna come over here to the board. We're doing 7 rounds for time of 12 dual kettlebell hang snatches, 9 overhead squats, 15 calorie row. For the females, these are 26s. The females is 85 pounds, and it's a 12 cal row for the females. 7 rounds for time, 12, 9, 15. 12 for the females. I didn't write that down. I'm bad at adjusting, but that's what it would be. Anyways, we're gonna get right to work. It's hot in the garage. I'm sweating already, nice and warm. It's gonna be a doozy. Let's get to work.
What's up, guys? Coach Matt here with Brute, and today I'm gonna be headlining James's video to talk about this workout. In this workout, we have 7 rounds for time, 12 dual kettlebell hang snatches. He's moving 35 pounds. Into 9 overhead squats at 115, and finally a 15 calorie row. All right, so while I'm looking at this right now, what I'm thinking is his row should take roughly like 45 seconds, 15 calories. He's probably gonna be moving at like a 1,300 calorie per hour pace. As he's doing his overhead squats, you know, he should be doing this in about 15 seconds. And then lastly, the kettlebell snatch should be taking them roughly like 25 to 27 seconds, all right? So as we're doing all the math here, and we're gonna start to put in some cushion for transition times, what I'm thinking here is he's gonna be finishing around 11:25, maybe 11:30, all right? Now, these are all movements that James is actually really good at. So as I'm watching him row right now, you know, we know James as a very aerobic, powerful aerobic athlete, especially when it comes to machine work. All right, so this right here it's no problem, especially if it's only for 7 rounds. Now, the big thing right here, guys, is when you're looking at this workout, it's not a sprint, right? So when, you know, earlier when I said he's gonna be finishing around 11:25, you wanna try to maximize everything at like a 90% effort, if you will. All right, so the kettlebell snatches, it's 35 pounds, it's not a lot of weight, but it will affect the grip. So as I'm riding workouts like this, what I want to do here is put a combination of a movement that he's good at, rowing, so something that he's confident at moving, a movement that I want him to continue to work on, which is going to be grip, right? And that's why I'm putting in those dual kettlebell hang snatches. And then a movement that will affect the grip as well, right? So it's not a super heavy overhead squat. We got 115 pounds. And what I would like to see on this overhead squat is I want to see that he's getting his depth and that that bar is staying over top of his shoulders and through the midfoot, all right? This position on the overhead squat is something that we've been practicing with James a lot to be secure in this position. So we've been doing things like SOTS presses, overhead barbell carries, again, just to strengthen that thoracic spine, right? And James has really good mobility, so even though he has long legs, you can see that it's really easy for him to get into a great squat depth, right? Now, if we're coming back to the row here, right, I'm thinking that James is going to be holding a 1,300 calorie per hour pace. I haven't confirmed that with him yet, but again, for him, that's safe. If I wanted him to go faster, let's say 1,500, and not completely unravel, then it is important for a training piece to be a little less time, right? So instead of 7 rounds, it could probably be 4 rounds, okay? The thing with James here is when it comes to training pieces, this isn't typical. I don't typically write what I would consider a sport specific or maybe even a Metcon for him very often, unless I'm wanting him to put pieces together. So typically I will program things in intervals, all right? So to make this an interval workout, it would be something like 3 rounds for time, where I want him to move very fast, a rest for, let's say, 2.5 minutes, repeat, and I would do that 3 sets, right? But today's just a little bit different. For where we are right now in training with the CrossFit Games, when this was filmed, was like 2.5 weeks away. They will see, specifically James will see, that there is a lot more metcons in his programming and a little less intervals. Now, the way I like to think about it is I'm going to put these metcons to make sure that he's getting the feel for competition, but with intervals, especially throughout this time, I'll still work in intervals. I'll just do it for his weaknesses. All right. So for James, a big thing is moving a heavy barbell. All right. So how do we work in intervals for heavy barbell? It might be repeat snatch ladders. It might be repeat clean ladders. He's moving 4 bars. Again, he's at a rest and then he's at a repeat. Now this one right here, this workout, this was put in as a session 2 piece. I am not as concerned for pieces like this on his movement. So for example, as we're watching this snatch happen, let's say his hands or the kettlebells are slightly in front of his shoulders, which would technically be a no rep, right? For the majority of the time. Or even when he gets to the overhead squat, he's not completely opening up his hip all the way. That's okay, all right? James is a professional athlete, right? So in a competition setting, if the judge were to give him a no rep, he knows what he would have to do to correct that, right? So we're watching these overhead squats and you can kind of see that his shoulders are a little over his toes, which indicates that his hips are probably still closed, right? So some of them would be no reps. Some of them would be good reps. Not concerned about that. Another cool thing that I like to see here is his transition into the rower. So as you guys can see, he's a slide his feet in, maybe 1 foot, he starts to pull and then he slides in the other foot pretty quickly. He's not messing with the straps at all. When it comes to qualifiers, when it comes to the CrossFit Games, when it comes to competition, do not ever have your feet strapped in unless it's the very first thing. All right. And it's like, maybe it's the only thing I would probably say. So if it was like a 3K row for time, yes, have your feet strapped in. Very, very important. On this one, it's not that bad. It's only 15 calories. Like I said, he's spending maybe 45 seconds on this rower. He needs to get out and transition quickly to the kettlebells. Now, because the kettlebells are light, the overhead squat is light, and it's not a lot of time spent on the overhead squat, you can see that transitions are vital. All right. So this is a really good workout right here to practice transitions. So if I were to, let's say, scale this workout down for someone else, I would have to make sure that you can do all these movements unbroken, right? So can you hit, even when you're exhausted, 12 unbroken hang snatch, all right? If you can't, just lighten the load down, right? Can you hit, whatever this is, 9 overhead squats unbroken at 115? Coming off of that kettlebell hang snatch, right? Even though the kettlebell hang snatch is a big grip limiter, it is also tough on the shoulders as well. It's almost like you're doing face pulls, for 12 unbroken reps and then trying to hold an object overhead, right? So, his grip is probably taxed, but also his upper back, his thoracic is probably pretty taxed as well. But again, I love the transitions here. I'm hoping that he finishes at around 11:25, 11:30. That's going to be the time that I'm giving him when I'm putting all these pieces together. And, I'm watching this thing go down and I think of things about like Dallin or even Jason or even Ty completing this workout. And I would probably anticipate that their scores would be very, very close. The hard thing to do with these boys sometimes is let them do a workout together where they do not know each other's scores. Because if they know each other's scores, then they know on round 6 and 7 that they're going to push faster than a 1300 and they're going to beat each other by seconds. But this is a workout that all 3 of the boys would do very, very well in. mainly because it involves a machine. All three of them are really good on the machines. There's a hinging movement. Again, nothing crazy. And then, you know, whoever has the, I would probably say faster squats would do very, very well here. And again, I'm not concerned about his hip opening here. But yeah, I think we're good to go. Now, I mentioned before about the scale. If James is finishing this workout at, you know, 11:25, then I would probably put a time cap at 14 minutes. What we tend to see out of James and high-level athletes is when there are time caps on things, let's say like the CrossFit Games has time caps on every workout, we never really concern ourselves with time caps. It's not something that is ever even a thought or even an afterthought of what the time cap is. What we do use the time cap as is to understand how long a workout will take initially, and then we start to work backwards. So I think a great goal for workouts is to try to take half of a time cap, right? That's how we know we're probably going to be like a top 5 finish. So let's say, for example, maybe not so much for this workout, but you know, if we were to create a time cap, maybe that 14-minute one isn't as good, but if we were to create a time cap, this would probably be like an 18-minute time cap, right? So almost half of that workout is going to be his workout time. Now, if you were to put this in a competition and they're all rolling against each other and they can see each other, he's probably going to be hitting like a sub 11-minute on this, right? Other than that, let's see. If James could make up any time here, nice. I mean, the guy's moving smooth. Like, there's no rest in between movements. I think the only other place, understanding where he's at now, I'd probably say hold like a 13:25 on that row, all right? If the row was for meters, it would not matter as much. But since it is for cows, it does make a difference. So again, if he were to get, you know, looking at this workout, if you wanted to move faster, it would be right here on that row. You can't move faster on the snatch. You can't move faster on the overhead squat. You know, it's kind of like it is what it is. You know, him doing this in the garage is actually really impressive because it's probably pretty hot in there, and his body's going to be a lot more fatigued with zero air than he would like in an air conditioning setting like what we're in right now, right? You can see he's pushing hard. So in a workout like this, he's pushing hard to the finish. I'm sure it was well over 1,500 calories per hour there just trying to finish hard. And I want to say he finished at like 11:15, I think. Not 100% sure because the timer's not on here, but I think he beat my time that I was thinking he was going to finish in. You can tell by the way he's breathing right now that the workout was really tough. So what I typically tell my athletes when we're doing a qualifier is look back at your video. So if you're going to repeat a workout for a qualifier, look back at your video and watch your body language, because your body language will tell you a more accurate representation of where you may have pushed too hard, if you did not push hard enough. You know, because sometimes we like to go home and think to ourselves, man, I could have done much better. What if I would have just rode a 13:25, right? In which case, if your face is showing agony at 1300 on that row, probably not it. Yeah, but all in all, it's a great, I would say, a mixed modal aerobic workout. Again, limiters in here will be grip. It will be a little bit shoulders, but it shouldn't be enough to stop you. And what we just saw is that, yes, it was grip and shoulders, but it was not enough to stop James. And I think he absolutely killed this workout. Great job, James.
Just like I thought it'd be. Very grip, intense, heavy workout. Really was just how fast can you transition and not burn out your gripper overhead. I'll let Torres talk about that. Anyways, week 10 was a doozy. Thanks for coming with me to House of Pain, sponsored by Sprague, and we'll see you for week 11.
I am James, and I like CrossFit.